Welcome to 110 Talk. This is episode number 6. I'm very happy that you're with me today, and this is where we aim to elevate the discussion, and anything that is relevant to that discussion is on the table. I have been looking forward to recording this. Anytime I create anything, whether it's an episode here or a song or something for the website or another project, I'm constantly looking forward to it. And when I speak publicly these days, I try to take care and intention when I am thinking about the message. I don't read any scripts as I record these. All that I do is write down some keywords, some ideas, and then I put it into my words, into the episode. And the topic of today is about honoring our own truths. And it's about stripping away the facades, the lies, and really looking at ourselves in a very real way. My truth is that I am still a work in progress. I started this journey of creativity, raising my voice, seeing how I can be of service at the same time. And that vision really started to formulate in a solid way about 3 years ago. I know that this forum of talk in its current form as a podcast is something that really fits what I have always been about. And one of the reasons that I know that is that I had a podcast. I started it about 12 years ago. And it started with a very simple blog. I was in a corporate setting and I had showed my corporate client the blog that I had written. And she was like, you know what? You should turn this into a podcast. And I was like, what the hell is a podcast? So I looked it up and I started to learn more about it and how to put it together, how to get it across the platforms, all of that. I remember going to this conference back in the day called New Media Expo. And in that conference, I met a ton of people in the podcasting space. I took a lot of notes, and I really think that I had a strong launch to that podcast, and I really enjoyed it. And one of the things that I had implemented back then that I am looking to bring back now in a different way is interviewing guests. And not even interviewing, more of a back and forth conversation. Maybe we'll talk about a specific concept, but instead of just the interview format that I had back in the day, this is more like anything is on the table. I could ask you something, you could ask me something, and we're really kind of diving into a topic or something of interest in the current discussion. And really the reason that I put a stop to that podcast, and that was actually part of my creative awakening process this time around, is that I felt that it was a little exclusive. So it was well-intentioned, what I had always wanted to do, because I know that the LGBT community goes through a lot of extra obstacles. What I wanted to do with that podcast and that vision was just show that no matter who you are, what your sexuality or gender identity may be, that anything is possible, and be able to put some examples, my guests that I interviewed, over 100 of them, put some examples and some concrete methods that they use to overcome those obstacles. But as I grew and as I evolved, I decided that I wanted to do something that was more open to the entire world without being exclusive. We always welcome allies and people of all sexualities to talk about discussions, but I just think that in this moment of time, we need to look at the bigger picture because we're all connected no matter what our sexuality is, what our gender is, where we live, what our race, income, religious beliefs are. And so that's why I wanted to evolve into something that was more inclusive with 110 Talk. I've never really fit into neat little boxes or structures. And so I've approached this talk forum in a unique way. I've used visuals on the video version with nature, with other clips that I find in other platforms such as Canva. This is not an advertisement for Canva, but shout out to Canva. It is something I think that everyone can really harness when they're making something, whether it be a video or an image. There's a lot of things that you can do in that. And I've distributed it via traditional RSS feeds, my YouTube channel, and also on the website that I've spent the last several months really building and making better, and that is 110dealers.com. And there's a lot of new features that will be coming, but I'm not going to talk about it until they're ready. Music, this is another one of my truths, is something where I also have never fit in to clean boxes. I've done it in my own way while utilizing the structures and the best practices of people in the industry that I've made songs with. I kind of think about it like building a house. So it's like you want to have a structure that is solid. You want to make sure that it is up to code, it's not going to collapse on you. But at the same time, you're kind of designing that house, or in this case, that song from scratch. So it's been a process. It's been an evolution. Another one of my truths as it relates to the music, like honoring our truths, being open to where we're at, is that I didn't want to do music by feeding drama or picking fights with people to go viral, or, expressing hate or heartbreak or poor me. Like, even if that was something that was popular with people, I would not have liked myself for doing it because it wouldn't have felt right. I'm very aware that my music has not been something that has gone into the masses, but that's okay to me because I'm still working and I love the craft. Regardless of what it does or does not do, regardless of whether this is something that I end up being known for or not, it is something that I'm going to continue working on because I absolutely love it. And I do think that there are some great messages in the song with good vibes. And so I think it's just important for me to share that the music has not really done what I thought it could do and what I still think it can do, but it's a work in progress. We live in this world where people expect instant gratification, instant result, click on demand, and we tend to forget that sometimes it takes time in order to build what we're looking to build. If I had to summarize the content of my music, I would say it is about love. It's about cultivating inner peace through chaos and about moving forward no matter what. And that's when I think music is sometimes at its best, when it covers topics like that lift up people. And that's always how I've consumed music, my intentionality behind consuming music as well. I would love to know, what do you think about when you think about your own truth? When you get real with yourself and assess where you're at, maybe some of the things you have been pursuing have not gone the way that you wanted. Maybe there's a dream still, a vision still that you have in the back of your mind that you'd love to reignite and bring to life. Or maybe you have achieved what you were setting out to achieve, but still you're looking for other ways to grow in this world. I would love to know what your truth is, and I understand it's very personal. You could always email me if you don't want to comment. The email is paul@110dealers.com. This is a no judgment zone from me. Summer selection. When I think about summer selection, I'm thinking about what kinds of foods, what kind of exercises, what kind of outdoor activities are we doing to contribute to the health and wellness of our bodies. I have struggled with weight off and on. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm eternally like 10 pounds heavier than I would like to be. I do get down and I go up a little bit. I never go too far to either extreme, but I know that when I am in alignment with my selection of foods and activities, and in that flow, I'll call it, I feel lighter. I might look better, but that part doesn't matter as much to me as feeling lighter and healthier. And so I'm always looking for new tips and tricks and methods for maintaining optimal health. It's not a vanity thing, but it's about feeling lighter and detoxing from things that have entered our body through the air, through our foods, through whatever method they might enter our body. One of the things that I have been doing off and on is fasting. And I think there are so many benefits to that, not only spiritually, but also physically, meaning that when the body fasts from food, it gives your body more time to eliminate toxins, spend more energy on that, and less energy on digesting your food. And so I do definitely do fasting at least on a monthly basis. My issue with it sometimes is just I always have to be careful when coming off the fast that I don't overdo it when I reintroduce myself back to food. There's a lot of benefits to it, and I think everybody's body is different, so I wouldn't say everybody should do this. I have people in my own life that are like, oh, I could never do that. I've never gone 24 hours without eating. And it's like, these are people of all different shapes and sizes, and it's like everybody's body is different, but there are definitely benefits to it. So I'd love to know, what do you do to change up the food and the exercise? I'm doing some fasting, some juice fasting, and trying to maintain a more healthy diet while I'm doing this work, and so I can be out and free and feeling lighter. So I love to know what it is that you do. On the exercise side, I've always been somebody that loves going to the gym. I love to do my cardio at the gym, usually an elliptical because it's easy on the joints, and you can also do other things while you're doing that exercise and burning a lot of calories. So it's like I could be writing, I could be reading, I could be watching something. It allows my mind to free up because it doesn't require too much concentration in terms of the movements. I have also done weight training. I enjoy that as well. I've worked with a trainer in the past who really kicked my ass, but I was in the best shape of my life when I was working with him. He would push me so hard and I would get really tired. So I would start talking to him, asking him questions, asking about his girlfriend, and getting him to talk. It would delay him for a little bit from getting me to get back to work. But then he'd be like, Paul, I know what you're doing. Let's get back to work now. And I'd be like, but I'm still out of breath. Tell me about your girlfriend. Even when I don't make it to the gym these days, I incorporate either like free weights, like just the ones that I have with me, or using body weight, whether I'm outside or inside. You can just do very simple things. That's what I'm trying to do, is get myself in the right alignment with my body for this moment in the times that we live. The other thing that I do is biking. I love to bike. I actually got a bike an outside bike for the first time in a very long time at the beginning of this year. And so I've gotten to ride it across rivers and beaches and roads. And it's a really fun way, I think, to get exercise and also experience nature at the same time. I did have an indoor bike before as well, before I started moving around a lot. And it was one of them, kind of like the Peloton. It was like a Nordic track. And what I loved about it is they had a really cool soundtrack with their iFit program. This is not an advertisement. It had a great soundtrack, and also you could choose any place in the world and go on a ride there. So I just love being able to see the other places and also get guided by a trainer who would be like, okay, turn up the resistance, speed it up a little bit, and they'd kind of keep you honest and you could track all your metrics. I think that was really during like the COVID stage when everybody was inside, everybody was getting the Pelotons and the indoor bikes and nobody could go anywhere. It was like kind of escaping outside while you're still inside and not able to travel. I think it all works together. I definitely am very conscious of my food intake and my routines, and I'm always going to have like a day where I fall off, but then I get back in track. And I think it's about staying committed to that, even if we're not exactly where we want to be. But I'd love to know what's working for you today, what types of exercises or foods, or how you stay in alignment on those topics. I've definitely been in a period of wilderness, both literally and also metaphorically. And I think that is sometimes a season that we need to have, where we make sure that we're in alignment with ourselves and what we want to be doing, and we're not getting thrown off of our tracks. I've made sure to not fall off. People could say I fall off. That's okay. But not fall off, and to maintain the consistency. I think when having a season of wilderness, I think maintaining consistency, even if people can't always see what that consistency is, or it's not obvious to the outside world, I think when you're in that season of wilderness, consistency is very important, whether it be the things that we're doing, like the fitness that we just talked about, or whether it's creating what we're creating, or whether it's prayer or connection with family, or whatever it is. it's about maintaining that consistency during the season of wilderness. I think that in my season of wilderness, I sort of died and came back to life, almost physically and definitely spiritually. So I want to share this quick story about why karma is important and putting good karma out into the world is important. So a little while ago, the other day, I was on a boat and we came across this boat on the water that ran out of gas and they were stuck there and they had miles to go until they could get back to the launching dock. We went over to them and we were like, hey, do you need a hand? And so we threw them a rope and we actually towed them with the rope all the way back to the dock. And they were grateful. I don't know what they would have had to do, like go to the side bank and walk to a gas station. We are not anywhere near civilization where a gas station is close. And so we didn't really think anything about it. It's just the right thing to do. The next day, I went on a bike ride by myself and I came back to the dock. We're up near a river right now. And I decided to jump in the water because I was really hot from the bike ride. And I did. And then on a whim, I looked to the other side of the river and I was like, I want to swim across it. So I started swimming. I was making progress and I was like, wow, look at me, look at me. I was proud of myself. And then I started to make less progress getting to the other side and I was like smack in the middle. I think it has something to do with the currents. I think the currents can be unpredictable with the tide and where it's going. And I felt sort of stuck in the middle part. So I started to feel this sense of panic a little bit. I was like, what the fuck did I just do? I'm out here all by myself and I'm in the middle of a river and the other side looks very, very far. I calm my peace internally. I'm like, okay, no matter what happens, you're going to keep fighting to get to the other side and you're going to stay calm because if you panic, so I had to curb that panic. If you panic, it's not going to end well. So I continued to swim to the other side. I made some progress, but not as much as I would like. And I really did start to get tired at this point. I still believe that I would make it no matter what if I just stayed focused. But it was a little frightening because I was very far from either side. And so guess what happened? There's this lady and her husband that were coming up to me on a jet ski and they saw me and they asked, are you okay? Do you need some help? And I was so mad at myself because I was embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fucking embarrassing. They probably think I'm crazy. I was like, yes, actually, I do need some help getting back to the other side of the dock. Because the thing was, is even if I made it to the other side of the river, which I believe I would have, if I channeled my strength, I believe I would have. But even if I made it to that other side, I was far away from where I needed to be. I had no device with me. I was in the water. I had no nothing. So I would have probably had to walk along the river for miles or try to find a car that could bring me back with no device and no money. So I was very grateful for that couple that threw me a lifeline, literally. They threw me a rope just like we threw a rope to the boat the day before, and they tugged me back to the dock. I survived. I feel like this whole wilderness season has kind of been a rebirth in the spiritual way as well. Getting clear again about what I'm doing and why. And I think it's a constant awareness of priorities that keeps me focused on the right things and able to, if something is not working, to change the timing or change the activity or even change the project a little bit. So to any of my haters, I know your ears might have perked up when it was like, oh, death. But sorry, that's not happening. I was lucky and blessed that somebody saw me and helped me out in the river. And I think that when you put good energy out, it can come back to you. Briefly, I want to discuss sexuality. It's something that I referenced earlier in the episode when I was talking about the original podcast that I created that was very closely related to the LGBT community. And also, my first song of 2025 that I released was called Smashed Up. It's about smashing up the labels that bind us, whether it be sexuality, race, religion, any of those things. If it doesn't serve you, you can smash it up, is my perspective. I was thinking about sexuality in the context of humanity. And I think that sexuality has become a war in this generation of people. All of us living on the planet right now, it has been some type of invisible war. And I am glad that, especially in developed countries, there are rights that protect people who identify as LGBT and marriage and domestic partnership, and all the benefits that protect the community are especially important. But it raises the question, why did this become such a hot button issue in this generation of people, us, who are living right now? Because dudes have been with dudes, ladies have been with ladies since the beginning of time. This is nothing new, but somehow it became something that was such a huge issue in this generation. I think that sexuality, if it's important to you, is something that is part of your identity, but it does not define our souls. I want to keep this brief because these words are important and I don't want to add too much. I'd rather just pose the question and ask, how do you think about sexuality? Why has it become such a war in this generation? I no longer identify my sexuality with labels. I think of my sexuality as human. I think sexuality is human. It's beautiful. That's it. Quickly, there was a news article that caught my attention this week because I live in California and I've been a fan of Gavin Newsom. I like him. I met him once in San Francisco and talked to him. We took a photo. I noticed this week that Gavin baited the vice president, JD Vance. JD Vance was at Disneyland and he somehow is baiting JD Vance to go into a debate. I see the tactic there. I think Gavin Newsom, I think he would make a great president. I know that the vice president is technically above a governor in terms of status, but honestly, I think that Gavin Newsom baiting JD Vance, I think it's beneath Gavin Newsom to do so, because Gavin Newsom runs the largest state in the United States with the highest GDP, and JD Vance is ornamental decoration for Donald Trump. I truly believe that Donald Trump chose him because Donald Trump can control him. He doesn't have any actual decision-making power. The things that he said have been hibbity hoopla talking points with no substance. I believe that Gavin would definitely win a debate with JD Vance. but I still think it's beneath him to do so. And let me just say, Trump chose Vance as window dressing, and that's fine. But Trump, even if Vance wanted to, Trump would probably never let JD Vance debate Gavin Newsom, because that takes the spotlight away from Trump. So he would not be liking that no matter how it turned out. So I think Gavin Newsom would make a good president. I've said this for a long time. I think that whoever the next president is, it's going to depend on what kind of mess Trump leaves behind. Because we know he's going to leave a mess. Hopefully it's not the economy. Hopefully it's just things that we can heal from emotionally. But Trump is going to leave a mess, and then whoever's the next president is going to have to help clean up that mess. And so I truly believe that whoever comes into the office next is going to depend on what kind of mess Trump leaves. That's my take on that news article. DJ AI is the name of a song that I created this week. I didn't put it into the stores yet, but it is available on the website, and I felt like I wanted to put out something fun. This is about the dark side of songwriting and trying to find the light among all the darkness. And this song is about when you want to listen to music and you want to feel good and you want to hear the type of instruments that you like, the type of vocals that resonate, the type of message that makes your spirit feel alive and have a blast. And that is what this song is about. It takes kind of a slightly twisted view of curated content by systems. So I'm not talking radio stations where they have people selecting the songs. I'm talking about these automated hotlines, I call them, where your favorite platform will put on this sequence of music and they use all your history that we don't want to know how they got it. They use your search history. They use everything and they know exactly what you want to hear. But this song is like, all right, let's bounce with it. Let's vibe with it. Mr. DJ AI, we don't want to know how you do your dirty work. We just want to hear the good music. And so I think that it is one of those songs that's like, oh, let's go to the club. Let's listen to the songs. Let's turn up. Let's feel good. But it also has kind of a modern take on it with the current technology of the moment. And so that's what I like about it. I think it's good. I put my cat in there. I put my cat in there in the third verse. And I think that it's all fun and it's all in good spirit. All right. I would like to end with a short prayer. Please join me. Dear Heavenly Father, during these times that are sometimes so dark, so confusing, so hard to find the truth, I pray for clarity for all of us in terms of seeing our situations, seeing what we're not anticipating yet, being able to have that warning, and forging the path forward that makes sense for each of us. I pray for our enemies, the people that work against us, because they themselves are not evil. It is the energy that manifests through them. And so I pray for their healing and their well-being, even as they work against us. And in this moment of time where we find ourselves at such a crossroads for human history, I pray that you bring connections into our life who share our vision, or we can combine visions and we can build off of that energy of the other people that we encounter. And with that being said, Lord, thank you for your grace, for your mercy. Thank you for that knowing that comes into each of our spirits if we just listen to it. That knowing what is the right move, what is the right direction, what is the right thing that we need to be focusing on this moment that comes from you. And thank you for coming into each of our lives when we need you the most and when we don't need you, and we can be in prayer and honoring you and glorifying you. I will say, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And with that being said, I want to wish anyone who this message reaches, a lover, a hater, anyone, I want to wish you well on your path, and love and light.